Have you ever looked at your life and quietly thought, I need a reset? Maybe it was a difficult year. Maybe it was a burnout, a breakup, a health scare, or maybe nothing dramatic happened at all. Just slow realization that the life you're living doesn't quite feel like yours anymore. We hear stories all the time about people who reinvent themselves. We hear stories all the time about people who reinvent themselves. They move across the world. They switch careers at 40. They transform their bodies. They leave toxic relationships. And they rebuild from scratch. And from the outside, it often looks like reinvention equals happiness. But is that actually true? Can reinventing your life really make you healthier and happier? Or are we sometimes just changing the scenery while carrying the same baggage? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Healthy and Happy Living with Teriaq. I am Dalia Gamil. Hopefully you can hear my smile. There is something deeply powerful about the idea of starting over. Reinvention feels hopeful. It feels alive. It feels like possibility. Psychologically, choosing change gives us something incredibly important, a sense of control. When you decide to shift your direction, you move from feeling like life is happening to you to feeling like life is happening because of you. When you decide to shift your direction, you move from feeling like life when you decide to shift your direction, you move from feeling like life is happening to you to feeling like life is happening because of you. That sense of agency is strongly linked to lower stress and greater life satisfaction. And there is a biological layer to this too. Your brain constantly rewiring itself through experience, a process known as neuroplasticity. When you adopt new routines, meet new people, learn new skills, or change environments, your neural pathways begin to adapt. New habits can weaken old stress responses, and new patterns can interrupt old cycles. So, in a very real sense, change can make you healthier mentally and physically. But here where it gets more announced. But here is where it gets more nuanced. There is a difference between growth and escape. Sometimes we want to reinvent our lives because we are evolving. We've outgrown an environment, our values have shifted, we've learned more about ourselves and what we need. That kind of reinvention is intentional and rooted in self-awareness. Other times, we want to reinvent because we are uncomfortable. We're overwhelmed, we're avoiding grief, conflict, responsibility, or unresolved pain. In those moments, change can feel like relief, but it's often temporary. You can move to a new city. The external shift doesn't automatically create internal transformation. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl wrote in his book Man's Search for Meaning that human beings are not primarily driven by pleasure or power, but by meaning. When change is rooted in meaning, it strengthens us. When it's rooted in avoidance, it often leaves us restless. So the real question becomes, what is motivating your reinvention? And this question directs us to talk about health and happiness. Many people who choose to reinvent their lives also change their habits. They start exercising, they improve their diet, they sleep better, they distance themselves from toxic environments, they seek therapy, and they build healthier relationships. Those shifts have measurable biological effects. They lower chronic stress, reduces cortisol levels, and better sleep improves mood regulation and immune function. Regular movement supports cardiovascular health and mental clarity. Supportive relationships lower inflammation markers and improve longevity. In that sense, reinvention can absolutely improve health. But notice something important. It's not the dramatic decision that creates health. It's the consistent behavior that flows. It's the consistent behavior that follows. Reinvention isn't a lightning strike. It's a system upgrade. And sometimes the most powerful reinvention isn't external at all. It's internal. It's deciding that you will respond differently to stress, that you will stop abandoning your own needs, that you will set boundaries, that you will stop chasing validation, that you will speak up, and that you will forgive yourself. You don't always need a new address. Sometimes you need a new relationship with yourself. That kind of reinvention is quieter, but it changes everything. If you're standing at the edge of a life change right now, pause for a moment and ask yourself something deeper than, what should I change? Ask yourself, am I moving towards something meaningful, or am I running from discomfort? Ask yourself, if I don't address my patterns, will they follow me? Because they usually do. Here is the empowering part. Reinvention doesn't have to be dramatic to be real. It doesn't require selling everything. Sometimes it begins with waking up 30 minutes earlier to care for your body. Sometimes it begins with scheduling therapy. Sometimes it begins with staying. Sometimes it begins with saying no to one thing that drains you. Sometimes it begins with ending a relationship that no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Small changes compound, and tiny decisions repeated daily quietly reshape your life. So, can reinventing your life make you healthy and happy? Yes, but not because you became someone else. It works when you become more aligned, more intentional, more honest, and more willing to take responsibility for your habits, your healing, and your growth. True reinvention isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming a healthier version of who you are already. If this conversation resonated with you, take a moment today to reflect on one small shift you could make. Not to escape your life, but to strengthen it. You don't need permission to grow, and you don't need dramatic collapse to justify change. Sometimes the healthiest reinvention is simply deciding that you deserve better and acting on it one choice at a time. Waiting to see you in the next episode. Until then, remember to take joy wherever you go.